Good morning. Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats, and I'm here with Rob. And, Rob, we were talking a little bit on the After Dark show last night with Sunil and I want to get your take on this. We were talking about the availability now on the GM market with Kim Ang. It's really a pipe dream when you really get down to the nitty gritty of it. But if you had to put a percentage on the possibility of Hal having the balls to actually make that move, where would you scale that?
-4. um, I don't see any scenario where she's here and Cashman still has a prominent role in baseball operations. Because she wants to be like in charge, basically. That's why she's leaving the Marlins, because they wanted to hire somebody above her. And the only way this could work with the Yankees is if Cashman takes that role that I think forgot who in the chat. I think it might have been Li that brought it up. Like, he takes like a different role in the organization, like something alongside Hal, and she's just the general manager and she leads the charge of the baseball operations. That's the only way I can see it happening. But if I was Hal Steinbrenner, I'd do it in a heartbeat, because we can use a little bit of change. And considering that she just took the Marlins to the postseason or helped build that team, she didn't take them there, but she built the team. That's an impressive resume already, and she's only been doing the job for a few years. And the Yankees should definitely look into bringing her in. I would love to have her back with the organization, because she knows what she's doing. She's smart, and obviously she's with today's game because she was able to put together a playoff team where the Yankees couldn't. With a much higher payroll, the Yankees couldn't. So I would definitely get it done if I'm the Yankees, but do I think they will? No. That's why the percentage I put it was -4, and that's just that's being positive.
Generous,
It's
yeah.
more like -100.
Yeah, no, I think like the Vince McMahon, there's no chance in hell that they make that move. But I think NFV just do a name out. Like if she replaces like a Randy Levine, I think that it would really benefit the Yankees to try to find a way to get her back into the fold, with all her knowledge and her insight. The other thing is, it says a lot about the lack of focus and what determination to really win with the Marlins, because it's almost the same reason that Jeter left. Jeter wanted to, take the team to the next level, and they kept pushing back on him, which caused him to, to step aside. And now you're seeing the same thing with Kim. So it's, she's probably better off going to another team where she's going to be able to really use her full talent, her full arsenal of information and knowledge. It's going to be interesting to see where she goes. But no, I don't think it. I definitely don't see them, telling Cashman, "You're out. We're bringing him in." To bring in Kim in. So it's going to be interesting, and I think all of baseball is really watching what's going. They're going to be paying attention to what's going on, because she is one of the all stars of the GMs. So it's really, I'm paying attention. I want to see where she ends up. But let's get to the chat real quick. I see here Jonathan won't be able to make it, but he did throw in here. I do want to see someone else as a GM. Cashman's time should be done. I don't think there's one person here that would argue against that.
Nope.
But you got NFE in here. What's going on, NFE? Still trying to wake up. I think we all are. So, Stephen B, good morning. We got Devin here. What's up, Tats? Yeah, he's Devin's shocked that I'm awake. I'm always awake. Coherent and making sense is a different story, but I am awake. Jonathan did come back. Good morning, Jonathan. We got Anthony Garcia in the building. What's going on, man? But Jonathan adds that Randy Levine must go. So where do we see, if you really, we say that we have no faith in Cashman to be able to do anything. And I really just don't see where a lot of the changes are going to be made. Where do you in your gut, do you think that the Yankees are actually going to have the aggressiveness this offseason to really make significant changes in this organization, or have they gotten so complacent and stubborn in their ways that we're just going to see the same roster coming back?
I don't think we'll see the same roster entirely. I think there's going to be some new faces in there. There has to be, because you can't roll the injury excuse back this year and be like, well, if Judge was healthy, if Rizzo was healthy, yeah, we would have won more games. We probably would have snuck into the playoffs, but
Yeah.
you saw what the issues were because without those guys, they didn't have enough behind them to get the job done. And they need to bring in another big lefty bat, whether that's Soto or Bellinger. They need to get one of them. They need to bring in another pitcher just in case we do have the issues, maybe even two starters, just in case we have the injury issues again, and beef up the bullpen a little bit if you can. Just get some extra arms. They have plenty of guys in the system that can make an impact, but I don't think they can. If Hal wants the fans to start believing in him,
Mm-hmm.
he can't say what he did back in May, be like, if we missed the playoffs, I got to ask some tough questions, and then be like, well, we look back at it. If we didn't lose so and so for X amount of games, we would have won another 6 more games. It would have been in the playoffs. They can't do that kind of math and have fans be like, you know what, you're right, because we've heard the same excuse every single year. The only time it would have made sense to run back the same team was after the lockout. And they went ahead and they brought in Josh Donaldson. So now there needs to be changes. Do I expect an entire roster overhaul? No, but I expect an actual left fielder. I expect a good third starting pitcher. Hopefully that's Yamamoto. I expect an actual closer and just a bench that's capable of filling in when need be. Not a bench that's made up of Billy McKinney's and Jake Bowers and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa's. I need a bench that's actually to get the job done. So when we do need to give a day off, or if there is that inevitable injury, we can have somebody step in and play a good enough role to where we're not going to be like, call so-and-so up right now because we need the help. They need to build this roster that has speed, that we have to have more contact, get on base. And we have pieces that can do that now, but they have to add to it. And there's a couple of guys in the market, potentially one being trade in Soto and one that's right there for the picking in Bellinger. They should be all over those two guys, one of those two. And you've significantly improved your lineup. So they have to make that one change I said it the other day. If they make one move like that, the lineup is so much better. Assuming the guys are back healthy, like Rizzo and Stanton and a healthy DJ, healthy Judge,
Mm-hmm.
the lineup gets so much better with just one big move. And they can still look to maybe bring in a guy like Tommy Edman or Brendan Donovan just to get another switch hitter in there and a little more balance to the lineup. And all of a sudden things look different. And you're looking forward to watching the team play.
Yeah, what's going on, Damian? I think that if they're able to get, and we've talked about this, so you don't want to come off repetitive, but I think that the offense is more of a priority than the pitching because we do have the pitching depth. That you might have to pivot, if you get into a situation where you had to trade some pieces for Soto, if that opportunity arises. We don't know. We don't even know. It's all speculative with Soto because they said that they're looking to kind of shed some payroll. Yeah, and Soto has just been one of those guys that the Yankees have really been targeting. Do you think that because they passed up on with Harper, right, and the way he's been performing this postseason, does that change the mindset of is that getting Hal's attention where he's like, I can't let this organization make another mistake and pass up on a guy just because of a name and a deal or, a dollar being spent. Do you see, them trying to correct their mistakes and have an aggressive offseason. I think that's the kind of those are my expectations. That's what I want to see them do. I want to see them kind of, you know what, we've made these mistakes too many times. Now it's led to us not even making the postseason, while players that we passed on are thriving. Uh, what do you think? You know, do you think that that's changing the mentality, or could change the mentality of Hal, or is it, you know, Hal's just going to let Cashman do whatever the fuck he wants?
I think he knows he has to be aggressive here because everyone brings up, look what happened after '08. They went and signed, they spent all this money, but it was only for 3 players. It's not like they spent 500 million on like 7 different players. They already added to a really good team. I still believe the Yankees have a really good team. I know the record doesn't show it this year, and obviously I'm going to sound like Brian Cashman, but if we didn't have Aaron Judge miss 50 games, the Yankees would have had more wins. That's just a fact. That's how good he is. And if Anthony Rizzo wasn't concussed, the Yankees would have won more games. But you do have to add to it. You absolutely have to add to it. And the free agent crop isn't very good in terms of offense, so you have to be aggressive, and you might have to overpay to get Cody Bellinger here. And it's not like he's a 30-something-year-old veteran. He's a guy that I think he's 28, 27, 28. So you can get him right in the prime of his career. He's coming off a fantastic season. He found a way to make more contact, hits the ball hard. He'd be an absolute monster in the middle of this order. So I think you kind of have to be aggressive there if Soto's not on the table. Now, if Soto's on the table, you go and do everything you can to get him. There might be a couple of guys you rule as untouchable. I think Dominguez is one of them, but
yeah,
everything else should be on the table because we know they're not going to get Volpe. They wouldn't ask for Volpe. They don't need a shortstop. So it's basically Jones and then kind of pick. I think the Yankees would keep Dominguez and Thorpe out of trade talks. Everybody else could be on the table. But if Soto's available, go get him. We've said this several times. We're both in agreement. I think everyone in the chat's in agreement. But Bellinger's not a bad plan B. And I said you got to have a quick pivot. If the Padres are playing hardball, be like, all right, fine, we're not going to get him. We got to get Bellinger. And if you get Bellinger, if you get Yamamoto, there's that pitcher, the closer in Japan, Matsui, that people are talking about. I know Dane brought him up the other night. If you can go get him just to add to this bullpen, that's big spending if he's available. And you spent a lot of money. You've made 3 significant improvements on our already good team. And now you just got to figure out how to keep these guys healthy, specifically the older guys like DJ and Rizzo and Stanton. Find a way to where these guys can stay on the field and just produce, because Stanton, I don't care if he's a 230, 240 hitter at this point. He can walk into a 35 home run season if he just keep him on the field. That's the big thing, because he hit 24 this year or something like that, and he was playing hurt. So you got to find a way to keep him in the lineup all season long. And if Anthony Rizzo doesn't get concussed, you're going to get a good season out of him. And that Rizzo can still produce because he was doing it before he got hit with an ass. So the Yankees already have a good team, and they can make it better with just a couple of moves, but they have to be aggressive. They can't be like, well, we didn't want to give him that extra year. If you have to give an extra year to Bellinger to get it done, do it. If you have to give an extra year to Yamamoto to get it done, do it. Because this team has to get back to the postseason. They have to get back to the playoffs, and they have to have a run. They have to get these fans to believe again, because right now the fan base is incredibly angry. We know we're all going to go watch the game on opening day. We're not going to miss it, but these fans have to have a reason to buy back in, because after '08, we're like, you're leaving the old stadium, missing the playoffs with Jeter and A-Rod and Posada and all these dudes on the roster. So what do? We got a new stadium. Top 2 pitchers on the board are CC and AJ. We're going to get both of them. Oh, Mark Teixeira is available. He wants to go to Boston. No, he's not. So the Yankees were like, we got to go do it. And they did it, and they won a championship. I'm not saying if we get Bellinger and Yamamoto, we're automatic champions, but we have a much better shot at getting to the World Series with them than if we don't get them. And there's only a couple of good bats on the market, and Bellinger's the top guy in terms of free agents. So if that's your plan B to Soto, if Soto's even available, go do it. Go do it.
Yep. Yeah, it's it's exhausting to see, you know, all the excuses from the Yankee front office, yet other teams are hit with the same, kind of, of issues or problems, and having the balls to really fix the problems, or having the right guys around, on the roster to absorb the really the stability, the competition. You know, what's going on, Mr. Barrows? And I want to go back to this one comment here where I see where the heck did it go? Yeah, Anthony Garcia, right? He goes, Altuve missed 72 games and had other players injured and are in the ALCS. So there goes Cashman's issue with the injuries, with losing Judge. The Astros were able to overcome the obstacles, where the Yankees used that as an excuse that, well, we had our plan and our plan didn't work. They don't have the ability to pivot to another plan. And it comes to really whose fault it may be. Is it, is it really Cashman's fault, or is Hal saying, look, just roll with it. We'll figure it out as we go, shit like that. Because, Davey puts in the comments here that he doesn't think Cashman does what he wants. The problem is he's not allowed to spend money. He is tasked to find the gems from the scrap heap, which is why you see him excel in getting bullpen help. And what I think is really true about that is they do spend money. They're not cheap. I think that's just a bullshit narrative. I don't think the Yankees are cheap at all. And there's something that we've been saying on the channel for a few years now is the problem is it's not that they don't spend the money, they're not spending it in the right places. They're trying to get the guys off the scrap heap because they're spending all this, they have the high payroll, they're paying the luxury taxes, and there's shares from that going to other teams that are not putting it into their, into constructing, winning organizations. So it got to the point where some of the owners, I believe, turned around and said, you know what? If you're not going to put this money that we're paying in the luxury tax back into your organization rather than your pocket, I'm not spending that kind of money anymore. Why, and it, from a business point of view, it makes sense for Hal to say, you know what, screw you and your revenue sharing. I'm just going to scale my payroll back, and you guys figure out how to run your own organization. You payroll, you bankroll your own business. Why am I doing it? The problem is that whatever penny pinching they did was not to the benefit of the roster overall. It only benefited the pocket. And that's the problem. We've seen teams with low payrolls find ways to be successful with the right pieces. The Yankees haven't, that was not, it's just, that's not a system that's going to work for them. They need to, they're the most successful when they're aggressive. They're an aggressive franchise. They need to go back to that.
Yeah, and Jonathan, I agree about Stanton getting hurt every year, but I could not care less about his strikeouts. I really don't.
Yeah,
Kyle Schwarber just led the league in strikeouts this year. He hit 197, but he also had 47 home runs and an OPS over 800. We would kill for that in the lineup, right? If Stanton, I'm not saying I want Stanton to hit below 200, but if Stanton puts up like a 220 season where he strikes out a bunch, but he hits 50, or let's just drop that down. Let's say he hits 37 or something like that, which is still a good number, and has a high OPS. We're not going to care about his strikeouts if he performs, because he always performs in October. And that's what Schwarber's doing right now for the Phillies. He's come up big in a couple of spots now for them the last 2 years. So I don't want to hear the strikeout stuff, because nobody cares about Schwarber striking out. It's just the health thing with Stanton. I've been saying it constantly. If they could look at 2021, he was healthy and he was fantastic. Last year, before he got hurt, he was fantastic. This year, before he got hurt, he was playing very well and he was looking like he was going to have another all-star season. So they got to find a way to keep this guy healthy, whatever that may be. There's no reason a guy built the way he is getting hurt all the time. The guy is, what do you say, like -3% body fat. Like, I don't know what's wrong with him physically that he's consistently getting hurt like this. But if he's healthy, he's gonna produce. He's not gonna be a 197 hitter. He's probably, even if he's a 240 hitter, I don't care. But the on base will be better. The slugging will be better, and the power is gonna be there. So if he strikes out 200 times, so be it. If he's hitting 40 home runs, no one's gonna care. If he has a big home run in October, no one's gonna care. That's just how it works. So the thing with Stanton is it's the health. It's always the health. And I hate that it's come to that because I still make that trade 10 times out of 10. Going back to the scenario, you don't know what you know. Obviously, none of us had a crystal ball seeing that he was going to get hurt so much with us, but you have the chance to get the NL MVP for Starlin Castro and a couple of nobodies. You make that trade every single day of the week. Any other team in baseball would have made that trade if they had the opportunity, or at least competitive teams like the Dodgers and the Astros and the Cubs. That's the teams that he wanted to go to. So I don't care about the strikeouts. I really don't. I need to see him stay healthy, even if he has to miss a few games here and there. Cause that's what they did in 2021 is they sat him a little bit. They gave him rest and he was there from start to finish. I think he played like 130 games or something like that, but we would take that. I know he played more games this year than last year, I think, but he was playing hurt again. And once he gets hurt, that thing lingers the whole way through. They have to avoid that. So I'm going to go back to yoga. Maybe, like I said the other day, maybe the new nap rooms are better for a guy like Stanton. I don't know. Something has to be done because they're not getting rid of him, and he is still a big presence in the middle of this lineup.
Yeah, it's going on, Almighty. Good morning. But with Stanton, I think that if you go, like, everybody wants to go, start going back to hindsight with Harper, right? Or now they're, we're going, we're playing the hindsight game with Montgomery with the way he's performed in the postseason. And if you look back at with Stanton, you can see where if they were to pass up on trading for Stanton and he went to another team and we found out how cheap he would have been, there are fans. I'm not saying, like, if you disagree, that's fine. But I'm not, everybody, there's a strong majority of fans that would have a fucking fit if they found out that all it would have taken to get Stanton was Castro and a prospect. You know what I mean? Everybody would have been like, why the hell, what are they doing that they wouldn't make a trade for this guy? He was just the National League MVP. Look how many home runs he hit. Could you imagine how many he'd hit at Yankee Stadium? And so on and so forth. But nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to admit that there's the possibility that they would have been pissed if the Yankees passed up on Stanton.
Oh yeah, 1,000%, 1,000%. The hindsight game always does. They always do that because Montgomery wasn't pitching like this for us. I'm sorry to break it to you guys. He was not this pitcher because the Yankees didn't let him be. He went to St. Louis and they said, throw your fastball. And that's all of a sudden he became lights out. And Texas did the same thing. And they obviously have a much better staff over there. I think the Yankees have a really good staff because it's not like Montgomery was terrible for us. But let's be honest. Montgomery, if he was still with us, would have went to Houston. Even if he pitched 6 shutout innings, guess what would have happened? They would have blown the game. Because that's just how the Yankees work in the postseason. We would have blown the game. They would have lost. If he could have given up 1 run in 6 innings, like, damn, Monty's that good. He's that guy. We would have lost 1-0. That's just how it is. So this whole thing, like, Montgomery wouldn't have been a factor. Another Cashman L 2 years ago, or he wouldn't have been a factor. But we have beaten the Houston Astros last year in the playoffs with Jordan Montgomery. I'm asking you that question, Tats.
No. I'm really trying to think. No, as a Yankee, no, I don't think so.
No.
You know, and
Even
like,
if he was pitching like this, because we didn't hit. We got shut out.
well, yeah,
We
exactly.
got
Well, that's
swept.
the other factor. He's pitching behind a team that actually knows how to, hit with have situational hitting, and timely at bats. The Yankees don't have that, but it's also the roster was different, right? Because when I was on with Sunil last night, I was like, it's really a shame that this is Montgomery saying, well, if you don't think I'm a postseason pitcher, there are other factors that come into play, right? Montgomery went to another team and they were like, use the whole, why are you always sitting so low on the zone? Use the whole box. Try using try putting a fastball up in the zone. And it worked for him. So now he's using more of he's using his complete arsenal of pitches, and they're letting him throw the pitches all over the strike zone. They're not just forcing him to keep the ball down. That's one factor. The roster is another, like we said, with the situational hitting. And the needs for the pitching needs for Texas come into play as well. If you have, if you have the DeGrom healthy, and your top three are DeGrom, Scherzer, and Evaldi going into the postseason. Where does Monty fit into that mix? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the
Probably would
same
have been
thing
their
that
fourth
we have
guy.
with the Yankees. He didn't fit into the mix. The fourth pitcher is there for an emergency, but it's not a guy that you're like, well, I can't wait until it's his day. I don't think that was going to happen with the Yankees. And if the Rangers had a healthy pitching starting rotation, one, they don't make the move to get Graham Monty to begin with.
No. I think Baltimore would have got him if DeGrom was healthy,
Yep.
because wasn't, I think, Dane, they had a few injuries actually in that rotation. They had a few guys get hurt. So that's why they had to go get Scherzer, and that's why they had to go get Montgomery. Had they been healthy with DeGrom, and even if they still added Scherzer, they don't get Montgomery, he probably goes elsewhere. But I just, this whole thing that he would have helped us win last year, it wouldn't have been the case, because without Harrison Bader, we don't beat the Guardians. And Harrison Bader was the only guy I think actually did anything in the ALCS against Houston, at least in the first game. So look, I know in hindsight the trade looks terrible, but, and Damian brings it up as well, as they added Montas, and also one thing is they thought they were getting Lopez.
Yeah.
That trade with the Marlins was about to happen and it fell through. So we all heard about that. So they thought they were adding two pitchers. They already had Montas. They thought, all right, well, we're about to get another pitcher that's probably going to be more of a postseason factor. We can afford to give up Montgomery to get Bader, knowing he's going to be healthy. We need another outfielder. We need another bat, and we need a speed guy, especially a defensive first, because they didn't have one. So it made sense. If the Marlins trade went through, the Montgomery trade would have looked a lot better, because we added two pitchers. We had to give up one, but we also added a center fielder. But I think that would have cost us Gleyber Torres. So take that for what you will. But at the same time, you would have been adding two starters, and we still don't beat Houston. That's just how it worked. We wouldn't have beat the Astros. And Davey says we would have beat them with Olsen. I don't think so.
I don't know.
It's just one guy. We don't
That
hit
was
against them.
just because, don't mistake the Astro struggles this postseason, right? And it's still, there's a lot of baseball left for them. But even though they're down, 2 games, this is a team that can. We've seen it. They can go on a win streak. Right?
Yeah.
Don't mistake that for they were more complete last year. I think they were playing as a more. I guess they had more of a complete roster. Everything was clicking. You have, they're dealing right now. They were missing Altuve for 72 games. Otherwise, they probably would have had home field advantage throughout. As much as I can't stand him, he is one of the better players in the league. You know, you had the Jeremy Pena took steps back. I know they always have trouble trying to figure out the situation with their bullpen. You know, they had to bring Verlander back just because they were starting to really fall. So they weren't clicking on all cylinders this year like they were last year. So I don't think I think regardless of the Yankees roster, last year was the Astros year. As painful as that is, it's just the fucking truth.
Yeah, and if you look at the series, like, can you really say pitching was the issue? We lost 4-2 in game one. That's when they started Tyone, right?
Yeah.
Like you should,
Was
you
it
know, if you're
Tyone?
giving up 4 runs, I think Tyone
Yeah.
started game one because Sevy started game two. We lost 3-2. Then we lost 5-0 with Cole starting, and then we lost 6-5. So I mean, maybe game 4 with Montgomery over Nestor, who was pitching hurt. Maybe they win game 4 with Monty. And what do you lose 4-1 instead of getting swept? Is that much of a difference? So again, the pitching was not the issue. As usually is the case, the Yankees just don't score when they play the Astros. That's just how it
No, they
is.
just don't score.
Yeah, well, especially when we play Houston, because look at the last 3 times we had to go against them, all in the ALCS. What's been the X factor every time? We don't score enough. Because
Yep.
we could have beat them in 2017 if we had just scored like 3 more runs in total. I mean, maybe 2019, if they would have scored a few more runs, we could have gone to game 7. Who knows what happens? And Aroldis Chapman, which, by the way, very nice to see him still have the yips in the postseason against the Astros. So take that. At least, I know Texas still won, but they got to stop using Chapman.
Yeah.
But no, I don't want to take away anything from what Montgomery's doing. I'm happy to see
Yeah,
him
no,
be
no, yeah.
successful because I like him. I always did like him.
No,
But
no, no. At least you're sticking to the fact that, you know, it's, you know, the hindsight effect.
yeah, you can't
This
have
would
the
not have
hindsight
happened
effect.
if he was with us. It's not, you're not taking, no, you wouldn't take anything away from him.
Right. And just like the whole, if they had Bryce Harper play first base, look, you can say both things. Bryce Harper playing first base in 2019 wasn't realistic. But you can say that and also say the Yankees should have done everything they can to get him to play center field or left field. You can say both of those things, because if you would have told somebody 5 years ago Bryce Harper's going to play first base, you'd be like, why? He's a really good outfielder. Make room for him in the outfield. You could have done that. You can say both of those things. So that's how it is. I don't know. Everyone plays hindsight because everybody that should be a Yankee is kind of performing. Like everyone wanted Schwarber, look what he's doing. Everyone wanted Harper, look what he's doing. Montgomery, look what he's doing. Evaldi. But I saw something yesterday on Twitter from Tom Kosenki. Is like, would fans have really been patient to wait a year and a half for Evaldi, who was not that good for us, to become this good, coming back from an injury? No, they would have been like, get rid of this guy. He stinks. He's hurt. And now 3 years, 4 years later, he's really good. They're like, we should have kept him. This is the hindsight thing that I don't like to play. It just, would I have gotten Bryce Harper? Absolutely. Would I have had him play first base? No, not in 2019.
That
I
would
would
have
have
never
made
even
room
been
for
a thought.
right. I would have made room for him in the outfield. I would have been like, all right, Gardner, you're the 4th outfielder. Aaron Hicks, we're not going to extend you. We're just going to sell high or keep you on arbitration. And maybe you move on from Gardy then. Be like, we have Bryce Harper and Stanton and Judge in the outfield. Like, how can you go wrong there? Or you start Hicks in left or Gardner and Stanton just DHs, right? And you can split time with him and Harper. Like, there's no reason for him to play first base back in 2019. He's doing it now because he's hurt. That's just,
Yeah.
again, I hate the hindsight thing. I really do. Bryce Harper should have been a Yankee, not a Yankee first baseman. It's simple as that. You know, why can't we just say that and be done with it? But every time he comes up with a big hit, like last night, it's a home run in the playoffs. They're like, it could have been doing that in the Bronx. And I get it. He could have, but not as a first baseman 4 or 5 years ago. It would not have made sense. They should have put him in the outfield. He wanted to be a Yankee. You should have made everything you should have done everything it took to make that happen. Simple as that.
You know, that's why I'm curious to see where this all season goes for the Yankees, because of, you know, that meant, you know, the guy that got away, you know, and Eli put it, you know, a way that made sense. That every time he does something positive in the postseason, it's like a twist of the knife. But it all comes, and Damian here in the comments puts it perfectly. Everything we're talking about is the snowball effect on Cash's moves, or lack thereof. I'll add that for you, Damian, throughout the years. And that's really what it is. It's the shoulda, coulda, woulda mentality. You can only go by the now and going forward. Looking back, you can't keep going backwards. If we keep living in the what could have happened, it makes it that much harder to accept the fact that in the world of the Yankees, times are changing. It's not the same. It's not going to be like it was, and I don't want to. I don't want to accept that, but it's the truth. It's just a matter of all these. We have had a multitude of injury problems. Scrap heap players that give us, that as soon as they get called up, they give us a week. The pom poms are out, and then they go back into oblivion. And they decide, let's find the next guy with the scrap heap. Let's just get the next guy and the next guy. There's no stability in here anymore. This whole team is just manifesting its own. Trying to get the word just slipped out of my head, but Rob, go ahead.
What's up to retired war vet in the chat? Good to see you again. But no, Damian's right about Cashman's moves, this being the snowball, because again, here's the hindsight thing. If he doesn't pass up on Harper or Machado, then we don't have to worry about not having a third baseman or having to get Josh Donaldson. We don't see the Gio Urshela thing, and he doesn't become a trade piece for Don. We don't bring in that awful trade that keep going back to that. The worst trade in Cashman's history is trading for Josh Donaldson. Or if we sign Harper, we don't have to deal with Aaron Hicks for so many years, and we don't give him that extension and all those things. Had we traded for Garrett Cole 2 years prior, we don't see the downfall of Andujar, or we don't have to worry about Chance Adams or whatever. Moves that he should have made, he didn't make, and we would have had a world championship. I guarantee it. 2019, if we had gotten Machado or Harper, let's combine the two. Macharper. Let's just get that. Macharper. If we had gotten one of those guys, and the year prior we had traded for Cole on top of trading for Stanton, we win a World Series. We beat the Astros. And then if you want to go back just a couple of years ago, instead of bringing in Rizzo, which I didn't mind that they did, but you could have got Matt Olson and Murphy. The A's were selling left and right. Had you made that move, you have a much better team. And nothing against Rizzo, but he's older and he's on the decline, where Olson just had an MVP style season. Or if you got Freddie Freeman, who had an outstanding year with the Dodgers. So all these missed moves, missed opportunities has had that snowball effect. So yeah, I mean, Damian's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. And I wish that wasn't the case. I really wish it wasn't the case. Not saying we would have gotten everybody, but Machado was very likely that he would have signed here for less. The Yankees just didn't give him an offer. I still will die on the hill that I would have took Machado over Harper, considering our needs at the time. But if we would have got one or the other, I'd be fine with it. We should have traded for Cole the year prior. Yep. We should have maybe traded for Matt Olson. Stop. If you're not going to use these prospects, trade them. I've said that, even though I'm a prospect guy. They could have signed Seager and moved Volpe at a second, or moved him in another trade. A lot of missed moves. I know the payroll would have been $500 million at this rate, but or at least maybe around the Mets number when the Cohen tax. But guess what? We'd be in the World Series. Guarantee it. We would have had a championship by now. We probably go back there again this year if they made these moves.
And you could even go further back if we would have traded, when Verlander was in Detroit.
Yep.
Passing up on that. Which is, I at that time, he wasn't. It looked like he was really starting to have a decline. So I didn't want any part of Verlander. I'm like, he's got his ERA was almost 5. And you're gonna put him into Yankee Stadium? I'm like, he'll get fucking killed. But he went to the Astros, and Strom figured out how to simplify, his stuff again and get him back on track. He doesn't make that adjustment with the Yankees. Did anybody think Rothschild was going to be able to fix Verlander? I mean, come on.
Would have had a 7
So,
ERA with Rothschild.
But there's comment here from NFE, and it's something that we were talking about a little bit last night. But also remember, Harper had Tommy John surgery. If he played for the Yankees during that time, he would have been like, I wish the Yankees didn't get him.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that really is a big factor. Is if he would have had this injury that led him to playing first base with the Yankees, the Bronx would fucking burn.
I mean, I said it the other day. Look what they're doing with Stanton. Yeah. Right? Stanton played hurt in 2018. They still booed him. And then he got hurt in 2019, and they were booing him again. But despite his October success, they don't care. So you'd think it wouldn't have happened with Harper? It would have. And I love Harper's mentality. I love the way he plays the game. I like Bryce Harper a lot. He's a hell of a player, and I really, really wish he was doing this for us in October. Don't get me wrong. But if the fans say they would not have turned on him when he got hurt and struggled a little bit coming back from it. Let's just say he got hurt. He was with the Yankees, came back and struck out 4 times. They would have booed him. Oh, yeah. Don't say you wouldn't. They would have, because you guys booed Aaron Judge. You booed Stanton. You booed Cole. You booed Rodon. You boo everybody. That's just how we are as fans. So don't say you wouldn't have done it for Harper. What makes him so special that you booed everybody else? You would have booed him too. So
all 4 got booed. Nobody's above getting booed.
Right.
The difference is with somebody like Stanton, at least he's got the balls and the respect for the organization and the fans to stand in front of the cameras to admit that he's right. The fans were right to boo him. He's like, yeah, of course they're booing. I suck.
And I think Harper would be
too. I know the fans, they can't wait to push this guy out. But you the one guy that everybody wants to turn on the most is the one that holds himself the most accountable.
Yep.
Like give Stanton that at least. Yeah, he sucks right now. He did not have a good season. Sunil and I went through. We went through the numbers. The splits between the Marlins and the Yankees with Stanton last night. And Rob, I got to tell you, it does not look really good for Stanton. The projection that he's on. All his numbers, I think it was with the exception of the 2021 season, everything was on. He's on a massive decline. The thing that really stood out was the hits between the Marlins and the Yankees. 8 years with the Marlins, 6 with the Bronx. He had 900 and something hits with the Marlins, and he's only got 300 and something hits as a Yankee.
Well, he was hurt for all of 2019, and 2020 wasn't a real season.
So it's not that's also another factor. But he also missed a year and a half when he got hit in the face. And so it really you can say, it's not the consistent at bats, but he's had almost 6 full years. But the injuries have to be a factor to that with the games played.
Yeah, and his mechanics too, because Damian brought that up earlier. His swing is off. Like how many times did he change his swing in a matter of like 2 weeks this year? He's trying to find it, and I think the injuries have a part of that because he's trying to not get hurt while swinging the bat. When you get hurt and you're playing hurt, and one little false thing can put you back on the shelf for another month or two, especially in a season where he had to be the savior and he just couldn't get it done because he was trying not to get hurt again. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. His mechanics are off. Damian was spot on about that comment earlier. And if they can find a way to keep him, so I keep saying, if they found a way to just keep him healthy like they did in 2021, if we were getting those numbers from Stanton every year, at least until let's say, because would we have another 4 years under contract?
Yeah.
So let's just say for the next 2, if he puts up a Schwarber type stat line, maybe a bit higher average, lower home run total, because I don't think he's going to hit 50 again, but if he's doing that, lower average, good on base, good slugging, good OPS, 35 home runs, a bunch of RBIs, hitting behind Judge or Bellinger, whatever. No one's going to care if he strikes out 200 times. I'm telling you, no one's going to care. Especially if we're getting to the postseason and he's doing what he does for us in October, because he's been consistently our best hitter every postseason. Every year he has a big hit. So they got to find a way to make sure he's not playing hurt, first of all. And I don't know what that is, because, again, I can't figure it out, because a guy who's built the way he is should not be getting hurt this much.
Yeah.
But he can't run.
No, that's why, we would try to, he needs to, there are 2 things he needs to do. Lay off the hours at the gym. All right, work on some cardio. Do Pilates. Do something. Do cartwheels for all I give a shit. Just you're his body's too tight. And he also needs to go the Judge route. Get your own hitting and training staff, please. Stop going by the Yankee doctors, because they're not doing dick for you. All they're doing is they keep fucking you up. Get your own people. You have the money to spend. You can afford it.
Just go to Judge's people.
Get your own staff.
Yeah, or go to Judge's people.
Yeah.
Right? Go to the same. Him and Judge are good friends. Him, Judge, and Rizzo should all be with the same group. Hitting coaches and the same physician, all that stuff. Keep them healthy. You're going to win a lot of games. I know I sound like a Brian Cashman guy right now, but here's a fact. If Judge, Rizzo, and Stanton have a healthy 2023, we are in the postseason. Are we winning in the playoffs? Probably not. I don't think so. I don't think we get past the Texas or a Baltimore. We would have beat the Twins, because we always beat the Twins, but maybe Toronto. But you never know, because this postseason has proven that you don't know. No one thought the Phillies would beat the Braves except for Derek Jeter. And no one thought the Diamondbacks are going to fucking blast their way through the postseason the way they have. So, again, Hal Steinbrenner always says it's a crapshoot. This year, he's kind of right about that.
Yeah.
But there is no question that our 3 best players missing significant time or playing significant amount of time hurt played a factor, because we still finished above 500 with those injuries. We would have been a playoff team. How we did in the playoffs, I don't know. But there's your key for the next year, at least, because Rizzo's going to be gone after this year. But if you got to do whatever it takes, if that's the subtle change in this front office, and it has everything to do with medical and the most advanced sports science you can possibly get to keep your best players healthy, that's what you got to do. Because Giancarlo Stanton has to be healthy. Anthony Rizzo has to be healthy. And the Yankees win a lot more games with those guys. Like it's not a crazy concept. Your best players being healthy helps you win more games. It's just that's how it works. So if that's the case, do whatever it takes to get Stanton to stay on the field. And yeah, it does look like he's running underwater, Anthony. You're right. He doesn't run. Like, look at him trying to track a fly ball on a line drive or something. It's insane.
Yeah,
and I know he's trying to not get hurt again. So, well, if my dad's predicting a World Series championship in 2024, bet for 2025.
I hope you're right, Mr. Barrows. I really do.
We've all seen the Bronx Tale, right?
He had the Yankees record right this year, so he's got that going on his side, that he already has one prediction right. So
broken clock is right twice a day.
Before we just we head out, let's get into one more thing, and speaking with the postseason, is there? And the easy answer would be the Diamondbacks, but what's been kind of shocking to you, or what did you not expect throughout this postseason?
Besides the Diamondbacks, I didn't expect the Phillies to do this. I really didn't. I thought the Braves were the best team, and I thought they were going to run through it. I really did. And the fact that the Phillies now, I think they get back to the World Series. So I think the biggest surprise to me is the Braves getting beat up the way they did.
Yeah,
I did not see that coming. That Philly crowd, man, they let Spencer Strider hear it. Those motherfuckers are ruthless over there. So
no, they're a tough crowd.
I didn't think Philly was gonna beat them the way they did, and I don't see who's stopping Philly right now. If we get a Texas versus Philly World Series,
I think
that
that'll
might
be
be
interesting.
the two worst states to possibly go up against each other. It's
No,
like
but
watching a Cowboys Eagles NFC Championship. Terrible.
yeah, I think it has to be the way the Dodgers got beat. Like Spencer said, but to me, it's also this run by Texas. I think that's been shocking. There's a few things that could go out there. The AL East. 3 teams from the AL East, not one of them, won a game. That
Ha,
who would have
take
thought
that.
that? That was crazy.
Welcome to the couch, you scrubs.
So and then they had it was going around that the last AL East team to win a playoff game with the Yankees. I mean, come on. It's we just
Hang the banner.
That's so weak.
No, you know what? No, because those fucking Orioles fans would have done the same thing to us. The Rays, the 10 Rays fans that actually exist would have done the same thing to us, and those terrible Canadians would have done the same thing to us. So screw all of them. Yankees and Red Sox fans have every reason to laugh at those teams because they were all talking shit. Oh, it's a new era. It's a new era in the AL East. And they didn't win a game. So screw you. Screw you. For once, Yankees and Red Sox fans are in absolute agreement on something. Screw the rest of those teams. You got what you deserve.
Yep. I love getting under your skin. It's fun. But no, speaking of the Rays, how fucking embarrassing of a fan base. Did you see all the empty seats for that playoff, those games? Really? I mean, they couldn't find anybody off the street to just say, here, just sit here. And actually make it like they had a fan base. That was I can't believe the playoff attendance in that stadium. And you say it all the time. It's a trash stadium, but oh my god, that was embarrassing to have that scene on national TV. I hope Manfred calls up the owner of the Rays and be like, "You guys got to do something. We can't have this. This has gone on for too long."
It's a bad area to travel to.
Yeah.
Not like I'm not saying like it's not like because every stadium's built in like I guess what they consider low income because the Bronx. No one wants to go to the freaking Bronx because you park your car on the street, you might not see it again. So it's tough to travel to. St. Pete isn't the easiest place to get to. I remember I went there once and I never want to go there again. It takes a while to get there. It's an ugly place to look at. It's just a stupid dome with a stupid roof and all that. It's an ugly stadium. Usually it's a bad team, but lately they've been really good. And nobody wants to go watch them until there's a big team in town. So, and now they got this plan for a new stadium. They should just move them. I do think the state of Florida needs 2 teams, but I don't know. The Buccaneers have no problems maybe they need to move them into Tampa instead of St. Pete.
Well, that's the other. I think it's more the location than the.
A lot of Rays fans say the same thing. It's like, oh, it's tough to travel to. And I don't think they have like subway systems, or they definitely don't have subway systems. But I don't know if they have like train systems like New York does. So it's a difficult travel, and it's also a very ugly thing to look at. If you ever go, I don't think you've ever been to the Trop, but if you ever do go. If you ever do go, just look on the outside of the building. You're like, why am I walking into this?
I mean, the minor league parks in that area will have better eye appeal.
Yeah. No one wants to go to that place. I'm telling you, it's a dump. It really is. It's an ugly looking stadium.
No, I've seen it driving past. When I've been in Florida, because I remember one time I was driving. It was the George M. Steinbrenner Field. And you're like, wow, this is cool. And then it's like, then you see, the Trop, and you're like, what the fuck is that? It doesn't even look like a stadium from the outside. It looks
Yep.
like a giant ass circus tent that just the circus is there 12 months a year. Well, Rob, that's going to wrap things up for us today. Just want to thank everybody that was in the chat. We always appreciate the discussions, the back and forths, the opinions. But we will be back on Friday, as always, at 10 a.m. So make sure you hit those notification bells so you know when we do, as our schedule adjusts through the postseason. This way you don't miss anything. Hit that like button, hit the sub button. And as I always say, wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.